am everything. I am your voice and what you sing. I am beneath your feet, your every thought, the cold and heat. I am the mountaintop. I am a love that does not stop. Oh, 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 I am the pain you feel, all that is and isn't real. I am the pleasure too that flows from me back into you. I've lost a verse, so I'm just going to go, everybody, whoa, whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
oh, oh, oh,
whoa,
oh, oh.
whoa.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. That was very nice surprise.
Did you write that song?
Yep.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. Yes, he's
It's been around for a long time. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. And we will start with a treatment. So as I center my consciousness in the infinite being, I realize that its essence is love, and that love is in and through everything and everyone. I know that this love essence is the very substance of life, the creative principle back of everything. It flows through my and everyone's whole being, spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. And I know that this love force is ever flowing, ever renewing, vitalizing, bringing joy and harmony and blessings to everything and everyone it touches. It flows with power and purpose through everything we do as it leads us gently down the pathway of life. This power breathes life and wholeness into each one of us. Our bodies are divinely designed. Every cell and system is in perfect harmony. Abundance is our birthright and is always available to us. This love is an underlining all our relationship, especially our self-love. Peace, freedom, equality, and health fills our world. Our souls are nourished with God's spiritual rain, soaking us in good. Our CSL Charlottesville teaching chapter is expanding in all areas, and we are the perfect minister and members working together to raise our consciousness. I am always thankful for our health, our wealth, our safety, our freedom, and our equality. Grateful and present to what is and what can be. Appreciate that there is a place of security, stillness, and peace, the heart and mind of God, which always connects us. Knowing from this place that are the answers to all our questions. From this remembering, I am so grateful for moving upward to a God-centered life of good. And my words are God's words, and I release these words into loving law. I send them back into spirit, knowing spirit is all there is. And spirit is the life that lives us, the wisdom that guides us, and the love that keeps us. And I let go, knowing it is already done, and I claim this good for all of us. And so we say together, and so it is. And we have our identity prayer. I know that within myself, there is a life which is perfect, complete, and divine. It was never born, and it cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is wholeness, peace, poise, and the power of life. This life is health, it is abundant, and it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God. And this is my life now.
So it is.
And so it is. Okay. So today's message has a meditation in it. So we're going to wait and do the meditation in the middle of the message. And this is from Reverend Kimberly Hawkins, and she is in Rogue Valley, Oregon. And her topic is spiritual rain. And I hope you enjoy it.
I have entitled my message this morning, Spiritual Rain. Monday morning, after I lead a spiritual community call from 9 to 9:30, and after that I hopped on a minister's call, many ministers, almost 200 of them from our CSL denomination. Usually we meet once a year for a ministers' gathering in different cities around the country. And clearly this year with COVID and the dangers of traveling and assembling in large groups, we did the gathering online on Zoom. So I joined the call, and it was interesting. You know, typically in one of our meetings, we start with a prayer treatment, as we did this morning, and then we sometimes do a brief meditation. Well, the spiritual practice on this Monday morning for the ministers' gathering, 3 different Science of Mind ministers did a lengthy treatment. I think the topic that morning was healing from COVID. And after each treatment, a lengthy meditation. And I'm sitting there, truthfully, kind of tuned in, but I'm multitasking because Monday mornings are busy for me. I'm getting my Sunday team an email about the topic and the newspaper and all that. And I get a text from my dear friend and colleague, Reverend Linda Rapon, and the text says, OMG, this is spiritual rain. And I knew right away what she meant. Spiritual rain. In other words, she was soaking up the truth, the hope, the light, the affirmations, the consciousness of oneness that the ministers were praying about. And in the meditation, we were letting it seep in. And I realized I was missing out by multitasking. Ever do that? You know, you're not really present to one thing or the other. So I began to really tune in. And I loved that expression, spiritual rain, because right now in the West, where we've had these devastating wildfires, I keep wanting to say wildflowers, I guess I wish they were, wildfires. The earth has been so dry, the temperature's hot, the wind's strong. And so with this parched earth, the idea of rain is so appealing. We've all been praying for it, and parts of Oregon, thank God, have received a nice soaking rain, like up in Portland. But I think, too, the metaphor is one for our souls and our emotions. We felt, I believe, a bit dry, a bit parched, haven't we? All the challenges we have faced these last 6 months, beginning with COVID and the debate about how to best resolve COVID. We wear a mask or not, do we open or not? All the acrimony politically that's going on in our country, fueled now once again by the tragic death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, an icon for freedom and justice, and what's going to happen now at the Supreme Court. And in addition to COVID, of course, there was the incredible racial unrest. And the good side of that, I think, being an awakening among many white people about the injustice that still is very rampant in our country for people of color. Then came the wildfires. It just seems like it's been one thing after another. I know it's been very, very, very challenging. And so here in this feeling of being parched and dry and challenged, this spiritual rain that came to the ministers on Monday was so, so very welcome. But the metaphor extends a bit. You know, we were told during the fires not to use non-essential water. So don't water your yards, don't water your gardens. And then finally, in the last few days, we were allowed to use water again. And I read a little advice from the Medford Water Company that said, when the earth is really parched, when the garden's really dry, don't try to soak it and drench it all at once. The best way to prepare the soil to receive the rain is to do briefer periods of watering, but more frequently. And I thought, wow, I think the same is true for watering our souls. It probably does not suffice for most of us right now in these challenging times to do spiritual practice in the morning and forget about it for the rest of the day. I think we need to prepare our souls, prepare our hearts to really receive the truth, the hope, the oneness, the consciousness that will heal the planet and heal everything that's going on. And I think that's what was going on Monday morning, and Tuesday and Wednesday. We kept meeting and we kept doing 3 different treatments followed by 3 different meditations. So I offer that as just a reminder for how we all might prepare to receive spiritual rain, spiritual truth, to be drenched in truth, to be drenched in the knowing that our prayers, our collective consciousness is so powerful that those prayers are answered. And what we hope to see, we can indeed see when we focus on the power and presence that is in and around and through each and every one of us. In speaking with many, many people in our community the last couple weeks, in addition to those who have lost homes and are kind of stunned and in shock right now, for those of us who still have our homes, one thing I noticed is that a lot of people are feeling a little bit of what I would call survivor's guilt. You know, why didn't I may be complaining about this and that and the other thing, but really I have a home, as Nancy read about in her prayer. I have a warm place to be, a safe place to be. And I'm just thinking that, you know, in this time, whether we're challenged by losing our homes or we're challenged by trying to be compassionate and pray for others and give financial support to others and material support to others, what is really important to remember is to continue to practice self-care, because we don't have anything to give to others if we don't give to ourselves first. One of the speakers in our minister gathering this week, a very powerful, powerful author and teacher, Dr. Shakti Butler, said this, and I share it with you because I just love it. She said, you must give yourself to yourself before you can give yourself to others. You must give yourself to yourself before you can give yourself to others. I think this is one more way that we can prepare our souls, our psyches, to receive spiritual rain, to receive spiritual sustenance, which is always available to us. Just like the Israelites who received manna from heaven each day, just what they needed was sent down and they were provided for. The other reminder from my experience of multitasking, which was not very fulfilling, is for all of us to really treasure the present moment and to be present with what the task is we're choosing at the moment. Once I settled in and let go of all the tasks that I need to do for my job and focused on that beautiful practice that was being offered through Zoom from my amazing high consciousness ministers in this movement, it was so fulfilling, so very fulfilling. And I was able to soak it up. In our teaching, it is very important to turn away from conditions because we know that conditions are not permanent. They're created by our consciousness and they can shift. And I think all of us know about this particular aspect of our teaching. Ernest Holmes put it this way. He said, we must resolutely turn away from every experience which has been negative, from every experience which has been a failure, and from every experience which denies God. So true, and that's what we were doing in this ministers' gathering. We were praying knowing that COVID is going to be cured, that it's in the process of being cured, that the country is one and coming together and has the potential to come together in cooperation and collaboration rather than disputes and conflicts. And it was a powerful practice to pray for the result, I think, as somebody in the room said, to pray for what it is we want to see. Pray for the answer. That's how he put it. Pray for the answer. And we know that what we focus on expands, so what we resist persists. So now I'm going to expand on this idea of turning away from the condition. I think in Science of Mind, we focus a lot on turn away from the condition, focus on what you want to see. And that is absolutely a good thing to do. But there's a but, there's a caveat here. We can't just ignore the condition that is existing, and especially we can't resist it. So I don't know about you, but I felt some impatient times lately in the last 6 months. When is this going to be over? When are we going to be able to come together in community again? When are we going to be able to go to the store without wearing masks? When are we going to be able to hug each other? In the last couple of weeks, it was when is this air going to clear? We had hazardous air quality for a week here. When is this going to end? When are these fires going to end? When is the political climate in this country going to reflect the truth that we are one, that we're each divine expressions? On and on and on. Ever feel that way? You know, when is this going to happen? And so by resisting what is, focusing on that, what we resist persists. So while on the one hand, we're called to turn away from the condition, turn to what we want. On the other hand, we're called to accept what is for right now with equanimity, not with resistance. And I hope that that's making some sense. I've focused on that for myself this past week because I realized I have been in resistance. I've been sort of waiting with bated breath for this to end and that to end and this to shift and that to shift. So when we can have faith that it is shifting in absolute divine time, when we can have faith that what is going on right now is not a stumbling block, but a stepping stone, as I spoke about last week, and we all can see good. We can see good from the racial unrest that's going on because our awareness has exponentially, I think, increased, and I believe that there's really a possibility for change in this country as there never has been before. So when we resist and when we just wait for things to get over, we miss the present moment, just as I was doing during that call on Monday morning. So I want to share with you a story that I ran across today that I think really illustrates the power in acceptance. It's a story in a book called The Gift of Acceptance by Janine Shepherd. Janine Shepherd, in 1986, was on the Australian Olympic ski team, and she was training for the Winter Olympics in Calgary. She was so excited as a young skier to not only go to the Olympics, but to put Australia on the map as a power, which is something I don't think most of us think about when we think about who are the powerful Olympic skiers, right? But she was on a training ride, a bike ride with her teammates, when she was struck from behind by a utility truck. And it ended in devastating injuries. She almost died. She barely made it. She was left with what they call partial paralysis. She was a partial paraplegic. She went through months of surgeries and crises where they weren't sure she was going to pull through. She went through some depression afterwards, because you can imagine, as an Olympic skier, she couldn't even walk. One day she was sitting outside in her wheelchair and looked up at the sky, and a plane flew by. And she thought to herself, I can't walk right now, but I could fly. And so the seed was planted for her to get flight instructions and learn to fly a plane. Well, not only did she do that, she got her license, she got a commercial license eventually, she got her instructor's credentials, and she became an instructor in aerobatic flying. Amazing, amazing transformation. And in addition, she began to do speaking, inspirational speaking, talking about her experience and what she had learned. So it was really a turnaround in her life. And she talked about, at one point, she said, when she decided to take action rather than stay in that depression, she said, I had a deeper understanding that there was something larger at work. And that gave me something to hope for and to fight for. I think that's a really good thing for us all to remember in the midst of challenges, that there is always something larger at work. There is a spirit, a God, a source, an exquisite, absolute divine order that is in charge always, unfolding always, even when we can't see it through the smoke, metaphorically and physically. So, the accident happened, but she decided that she could treat all of life's challenges as she did the hills when she was training. She could work hard and see them as something that was going to grow her and make her stronger. Eventually, she got married, had children, which was something she didn't know for sure she'd be able to do. And I want to read you a little portion from her book here. She says, it was the seemingly intangible qualities, the mental attributes I had developed over a lifetime as an athlete that gave me the resilience and fortitude to hang in there despite the overwhelming odds against me. Courage, determination, commitment, responsibility, self-sacrifice, and so on, perseverance, gratitude, to name a few. These were the tools that I used to rebuild my life. But ultimately, she realized that there was one thing more than anything else that allowed her to change her life. And you're going to be surprised when you hear what it is. She met a woman in one of her speaking engagements in Australia that had 7 children and had lost a child. And Janine said to the woman, "I'm so sorry." And the woman said, "Oh no, dear, don't feel sorry for me. Just like you, I've been given the gift of acceptance." And the light went on for Janine. The woman said, no matter what happens in life, you've just got to get on with it. You can't spend time saying, I can't wait for this to be over, or I'm sorry this happened, or bemoaning it. You have to go on. So here's what Janine writes here. The clarity I had searched for so long was staring me in the face. Acceptance was the quality that came before everything else, and it had enabled me to move forward and find a new direction in life. This is kind of new news for Science of Mind students, because we're always taught turn away from the condition, but we have to accept what is first. We have to be present to what is first. We have to receive it with equanimity, knowing that it can shift and that we have the power and the guidance to do so. She said, I knew I couldn't change what had happened, but I could change the way I saw my life from that point on. Allowing, not resisting. Accepting what had happened to me had opened the door to possibilities I never before considered were possible. The art of surrendering to the stillness and allowing deeper level of self-love, peace, and acceptance into my life was a powerful, powerful practice. Wow. And as part of it, she says, paradoxically, now when she's in a state of non-acceptance, she accepts that too. So that's part of the practice of loving ourselves and being kind to ourselves. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful story. And for me, at least, it was a reminder to stop resisting what is, to accept what is, to focus on what I want to see in the world, to take guided action, to take time to get still, to hear that still small voice for the guidance. One of our books of the month this month is Richard Rohr's Falling Upward. And in that book, he talks about non-dualistic thinking. In other words, both and thinking, which means accepting what is and knowing a greater possibility. He says, we no longer divide the field between up or down, totally right or wrong, with me or against me. This goes again to what I was talking about earlier this month about stumbling blocks are not all bad. The challenges in life become fodder for our growth. They open a space for wonderful things to happen, for new things to happen. So Rohr talks about what he calls the 7 C's of delusion, which are what we get into when we're doing dualistic thinking. So the 7 C's of delusion are comparing, competing, conflicting, conspiring, condemning. A lot of us doing that recently, yeah? Condemning. Canceling out any contrary evidence, and then crucifying with impunity. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So as I thought about this and thought about what would be non-dualistic thinking, accepting everything, embracing everything, and going back to truth, allowing that spiritual rain to fortify us and remind us that we're all spiritual beings doing the best we can, I came up with the 7 C's of non-dualistic thinking. So instead of compare, compete, conflict, conspire, condemn, canceling, and crucifying, here's what I remembered that will help me change my thinking. Because we know Ernest Holmes told us, change our thinking, change our life. So the 7 C's of non-dualistic thinking are care, compassion, courtesy, sometimes just common courtesy, for example, towards someone who has a different political view, and not attacking, not trying to change, but being courteous. Cooperation, collaboration, community, and consciousness. Consciousness is everything. So when I think about these C's and I think about the interesting times we find ourselves in with this acrimonious political stuff going on in the midst of our election and campaign, I'd like to read you a beautiful writing from our founder, Ernest Holmes. I'm going to read you excerpts from a sermon he gave, which he gave right at the beginning of the Korean War conflict. So this was in 1950. It is written up in Essential Earnest, which is one of the classes that I'm teaching right now along with Nancy Clay, and it's from the book Essential Earnest. And I think you will be struck, as I was, at how pertinent this writing is today. In his radio address, Ernest Holmes gave these excerpts as part of his sermon. As never before, our thoughts, our meditations, our hopes, and our prayers must rise in one common accord. And you and I should form the habit of taking definite time each day to pray for peace and justice. For there is no peace possible without justice. We should take time each day to pray, to know, and to meditate on the thought, and to meditate affirmatively with complete acceptance that our leaders everywhere are being guided by the all-sustaining wisdom and upheld by the all-sustaining power of good. And we should pray for the peace of our own minds, that we shall not become confused. He goes on to say, but faith without works is dead. We should not only pray, we should act, each contributing the best he has to the common purpose, each willing to make any sacrifice necessary, not a sacrifice reluctantly made, but as one who offers all he has for 2 great purposes. One, in a certain sense, a selfish one, for we all desire self-preservation, but the other, in the greater sense, that there can be no individual self-preservation without the preservation of all. For if the whole nation works together and prays together, a great moral and spiritual power, an actual soul force, will penetrate the whole world, helping to bring confidence and calm judgment and right action until the crisis shall have passed. Freedom need never be ashamed of itself, nor liberty bow to despair. God is always on the side of right, and faith will always conquer fear. Faith will always conquer fear. Finally, Holmes wrote, or spoke, the world is perhaps at the point of the greatest crisis in all human history, and there seem to be 2 attitudes we can assume. One is calmness, faith, and conviction. The other would be despair. And despair is unthinkable. Let us, each in his own way, dedicate his time, service, and hope, and spiritual conviction to the common cause of liberty and justice for all. And let's work without tiring and pray without ceasing. We know that on the battlefront in the rear guard, something alive with meaning is taking place. Something vibrant with hope is happening. Something latent with possibility of the future is being conceived. Oh, let's breathe that in. some powerful words by Ernest Holmes in 1950, which I think are still very applicable today. So before we wrap up, I would like us to do a meditation. And so I'm going to invite us, this is kind of unusual in the middle of my talk to do this, but I want to invite us to go to that still small place. This is part of the practice of preparing our souls, which may have become parched by all of the conflict and chaos going on around us right now. Let's take a moment to breathe, to turn within. As Anton and Laura play for us, I'm going to read a series of statements from Janine Shepherd from her beautiful book about acceptance to lay the groundwork for us to prepare for spiritual rain, to be fortified by spiritual rain, to raise our consciousness in not only hope, but faith and conviction that everything works together for the good. So breathing in and breathing out. Let's take in these words. I know that the moment you let go of inner resistance to pain and suffering, you open a window to the divine. Breathing in and breathing out with each statement, soaking it up. I stop asking why and begin to ask. I stop asking why me and begin to ask, why not me? I see that a simple act of forgiveness is an opening to divine grace. Breathing in and breathing out, I begin to see that meeting my own needs does not make me selfish, and that when I meet my own needs, I am more able to meet the needs of others. I can tell that getting older has nothing to do with age and everything to do with attitude. I understand that loving the hills or challenges in life is about cultivating the virtues of the heart. I no longer judge others. Everybody is doing their best with where they are at any given time, including me. Breathing in and breathing out. I ask myself constantly, what is the gift in this? I see that healing comes not through running from the pain, but living through the experience. I see that we all have a spark of divinity within us. We are all connected by a common thread. breathing in and breathing out. I begin to understand that although life might not seem perfect right now, the present circumstances are perfect. I see that even when I feel like I have lost it all, that loss was necessary to make room for the life that awaits me. I give myself permission to feel it all. I can sit with every emotion, knowing that even my tears have a purpose, and they are just as important as the moments of laughter. I know that I no longer have to struggle for the answers. In perfect time, the solutions to my problems arise from the quiet place in my heart. And finally, I know that inside me there is a place of security, stillness, and peace, the heart and mind of God, with which I am forever connected. So I hope your soul is soaking up some of that spiritual rain as I open myself to accept what is as the starting place to listening, to taking guided action, to being grateful and present to what is, to letting go of multitasking, and to fully, fully appreciating this now moment. As Richard Rohr wrote about, we are all falling upward, not only as we age and become spiritually mature, but we are falling upward, moving from an ego-centered life to a God-centered life. And everything that's occurring, everything, no matter how challenging it may seem or have seemed, is a stepping stone to our greater good. In the meanwhile, when we feel parched, when we feel dry, when we begin to feel hopeless or depressed, we can recognize that we need to prepare our souls, prepare our innermost being to receive the spiritual rain that is always, always available to us. The truth that we are one, that God is good and that God wants nothing more than the highest and best for us all. And that when we work to make sure everyone's needs are met, that everyone indeed receives justice and freedom, abundance and love, respect, that we are all blessed. So let us soak up that spiritual rain. Let us pray without ceasing. And let us go to prayer right now, if you will. As I allow myself to settle into this beautiful now moment, accepting what is, and yet knowing that as I do that, I remember that there is only one power, my friends, one power. God is all there is. Love, truth, oneness, beauty, order. wisdom, intelligence is all there is. That power, that source infuses all of life. Every single sentient being on the planet is birthed from God's stuff. Spiritual rain means knowing we are provided for at every moment. We are never in want. There is no such thing as a loss. Everything that happens is a gift. Perhaps we can't see it right now, and we can accept that too. We can accept that we don't know the answers, but there is one mind that does know the answers, and that mind lives within each one of us. So as we recommit to the practices that prepare our souls to receive spiritual rain, and it can come from so many sources, from music, from prayer, from the quiet times, from reading uplifting literature, from turning away when we need to from the news, from turning away from what one of our speakers called this week the negaholics in our life. When we reach out for prayer, when we reach out for support, when we reach out to give support, we're preparing our souls to remember who we are and to remember who each one is, even those with whom we may vehemently disagree. When we stop resisting and start accepting, that is the springboard to creating something new and better and more powerful than we've ever seen before. And so I pray for our country this day. I pray knowing that our leaders are guided beautifully by that one divine intelligence. I pray to know that each of us does our internal work so that we can stop blaming and hurling insults and start accepting and seeing the God in each one of us. I know that our situation, whatever it may be, personally or as a country, politically, economically, is spiraling upward, that there's a new dawn happening. And that as we commit to our spiritual practices, as we commit to seeing the divine everywhere, everything unfolds for the greatest good of all concerned. I say a prayer for those who are homeless right now due to the wildfires. I say a prayer for all beings across the globe who are challenged, knowing God is right where they are, and knowing that God in people around have that heart that wants to give, that wants to support. We are one. And so knowing that God, through everyone, through the hands, the hearts, the voice of each one, supports, guides, lifts each of us. I'm so grateful to know there is only one power. I'm so grateful to know that it is alive and thriving within each of us, and that as we turn to it, as we listen to it, we are eventually guided to exactly what we need to do. I'm so grateful that we practice self-care, that we give ourselves to ourselves so that we can give ourselves to others. I'm so grateful for this teaching. I'm grateful for all the spiritual communities across the globe that all teach there is only one God, many paths as we know. And that as we do unto others as we would have done to us, we create a better world. So saying a prayer that each of our hearts might be prepared to receive whatever it is we need to know, to do, to think. I simply release in gratitude this prayer right now, knowing, as all prayers, it is heard, it is answered, it is done, and we say together, and so it is. Amen. I have entitled my message this morning, Spiritual Rain. Monday morning after my
The song now. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jan Garrett,
I'm J.D. Martin.
and it's raining. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came.
I dreamed of rain, and the rains came. Soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer, and the winds changed, and the green was easy, and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer, and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom, and the moon rose, and the way was easy, the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom, and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom, and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven, and the earth sang, and the sound was easy, and the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven, and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven, and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And you know, everything is in divine order when it's raining outside for this song. And
That was a challenge, wasn't it, singing that
yeah,
song?
yeah,
No, that's a beautiful song. One of my favorites.
yes, that
Yeah,
was.
loved it. Thank you.
Thank you for picking that, Jane. Again, perfect. So
Jen
there-
and I got to sing that with JD at Unity of Charlottesville.
oh, wow.
And I think, I'm not sure, but I think that where they were singing that in that video was actually Blair Jones' living room. They had a group of people. Now, when I was there, it was in the evening, but they may have recorded it earlier in the day, you know, when it could be quiet and not have a room full of people. But that looked just like the setup that they had in Blair's living room.
Wow. Divine order.
That was pretty cool.
So Jan wrote that song
Yeah.
because JD sings it primarily. A lot of people think that, and he writes more of their songs than she does, but that's one of hers.
Yep.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It was so rich with so many things. And it was about what we were talking about before we started the service, is accepting what is first and not denying it, accepting it. You know, we started talking about that, and here it is.
I'm reminded, I didn't get on in time to join your discussion about that before, but how perfect with the talk today, right? And I was reminded of the 23rd Psalm, which I hadn't thought of in a long time. And it has in there, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. It doesn't say that there is no valley of the shadow of death. It says I walk through it, and because thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I fear no evil, for thou art with me. So we go through it, we do our affirmations and see the truth that we want to manifest in the midst of the appearance of, you know, and the 23rd Psalm actually doesn't say, yea, though I walk through the valley of death. It says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
So
There's
interesting.
a lot of that stuff.
Kathy, thank you for that, choosing that message today. It was perfect for me.
There's a lot of reference. Of course, this most of the Psalms were written by David, who was a shepherd, but there's a lot of reference to shepherding in those. The rod and the staff is a shepherd's rod and staff.
Yeah, right.
And the rod was used to defend the sheep, and the staff was used to guide the sheep.
Right.
Well, people confuse that with the rod, like they were beating the sheep with it or something, you know. So
No,
don't spare the rod, you know, that wasn't what they meant.
the rod was used to defend the sheep. You know, if a bear or a lion or something was coming after the sheep, the shepherd would use the rod to either throw at the predator or I guess whack them over the head or something.
Predators,
But yeah. And then we actually have a shepherd's crook, a shepherd's staff that has the hook on the end. You know, you think of little Bo Peep with her staff that has the hook on the end, and that's, you use that to grab them around the neck and
Pull them back.
pull them back so that you can kind of focus their attention somewhere other than where they are. So you divert their attention by hooking that thing around their neck and move their head around so that it forces them to look at something else. Maybe that's symbolic for what we're discussing today, is diverting your attention to.
The sheep are your thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the 7 C's of dualistic and non-dualistic, and I made the observation after I had copied them down that I've always heard the phrase, it takes two to tango, which has always had my nose has always been rubbed in that whenever I had a conflict with someone. But for the dualistic 7 C's, they are all transactional. Comparing, competing, conflicting, conspiring, condemning, canceling, crucifying. They all have to do with someone else. And I actually kind of liked her non-dualistic 7 C's. There was all but one of them shared the same qualities. They were all relative to another person. So care, compassion, courtesy, cooperation, collaboration, community, and the last one was consciousness. The consciousness I don't see as being relative to someone else. The consciousness is
Relative to yourself.
relative to yourself, which is not someone else.
Or universal consciousness, which is relative to everybody.
To all.
Yeah.
I can't see why you can say it's to someone else, because you can have all those qualities within yourself.
Yeah.
True.
But anyway.
I also liked the analogy of falling upward, moving to a God-centered life.
Mm-hmm.
Like falling, like surrendering, like falling upward. And, they do it a lot of retreats when you have somebody behind you and you just fall and you trust that they're gonna,
catch you,
right? Right. That just flashed into my head is just falling, surrendering, knowing God's got our back, no matter what's going on. So I liked that analogy.
There's here's an interesting analogy with flying. A large number of aircraft accidents happen because the pilot quit flying the airplane. Now, by quit flying, I mean, it's not that they just, release and, go into catatonia or whatever. It's that they stop. They are putting input into the controls of the airplane that cause it to have a problem. So a tendency in an airplane as you're flying is that as you get more nervous, you tend to haul back on the yoke. And what that does is that brings the nose up and it starts slowing the airplane down. You may gain a little altitude, but mainly it slows the airplane down. And if you slow it down enough, then it will stall and maybe go into a spin. But generally speaking, when an airplane stalls, if you just get off of the controls and let the thing fly itself, it will pull out of the stall and start flying again on its own.
That actually depends on the plane.
Well, yes, it depends on the plane, but most of the planes that are certificated,
most of the trainer planes will do that.
Yeah, if you get off of the controls, if you stop living in the fear of it, if you just let things go, then the airplane will ride itself and it'll be okay. So it's kind of like you know, the more upset you get about something, the more fearful you get about something, the more anxious you get about something. If you can just let it go, then you allow life to kind of ride itself. And
one way or another, it'll be over with soon.
yeah, this too shall pass, as we say.
It seems like it's knowing what's coming next in the cycle, and the cycle is destruction of that which no longer serves us, creating what does serve us, transforming and creating what does serve us, observing that which serves us, and letting go of what doesn't serve us to transform into what we can create. And you know what's coming next in the cycle, and having faith in trusting that process, I think.
Yeah, she had said that I loved also. She said, loss was necessary to make room for the life that awaits me.
Creation.
Yeah, yeah. I like that too.
You have to let go to grasp something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The harder you hold on to what is, the more you deny the what could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing, what are we each letting go of? Personally, what are we letting go of beyond the theory? What's the application of this? I've already confessed to dancing.
Meaning you've let go of dancing?
The fear of dancing.
Oh, the fear of dancing. Okay, that's better. I like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess.
No, I'm not letting go of dancing. I'm reclaiming dancing.
Oh,
Why
good.
not?
That's right. But I think it's the fear, letting go of the fear of everything going on in our world right now. And that's an important thing to self permission to do that, to let go of that fear and come from a different place. But we all have different fears too, so it's personal to letting go of whatever, you know, you're working on, each one of you.
Well, she actually said that, you know, in acceptance, I think the way you experience things shifts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you experience it instead of in negativity. She spoke like it was a stair step, you know, in a positive way.
Yeah.
The resistance, you're letting go of the
Yeah, you're letting, if you can see it as evolving, as part of a process. You know, when I look at things politically, I can hardly stand to listen to Trump speak.
Yeah.
But I really know from an overall larger perspective, all this that's going on is a necessary part of a process to carry us forward.
Right.
I know that.
Right.
Still, I can hardly stand to watch him speak.
Yeah. I don't watch him speak either.
So, Tom, when you talk about letting go of the resistance, I was reminded of this little analogy, which is so powerful and simple to me, is that what is that called? A Mexican finger trap?
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, it's that
you can't pull it off.
You know, it's a little basket, you know, and your fingers you put your fingers in and pull like this, and the more you pull, the tighter it grips you, you know, and you have to just kind of let go, and then come out easily, and that's how you get out of it. You have to let go of resisting.
Wow. I always heard of those things being called Chinese handcuffs.
Oh.
Okay, Chinese handcuffs.
Wow, that's an oldie but goodie, huh? I haven't thought about those in a long time.
There was a good thing in Science of Mind magazine on page 57 about have we really tried God? Since all other methods have failed, a divine compulsion is laid upon everyone to find the power of God and to make use of it. The cry, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" rising from countless millions of anguished minds as they hang on the cross of human suffering will not go unanswered if faith in the divine presence is gained. It is not merely a new theory about God that we're looking for. It is the actual power of God that we must lay hold of. Our trouble is that we have not really believed that this presence exists and operates in human affairs. We have not realized the divine presence as a living and dynamic reality. What we need is the direct experience of a conscious contact with the divine. God is life, not some life, but all life. God is action, not some action, but all action. God is power, not some power, but all power. God is presence, not some presence, but all presence. God is pure spirit, filling all space. This pure spirit animates your every act. There is a real you that lives in a real God, and the two are one. To know this is to understand your relationship with the divine presence. To realize that the law of God is written in your own mind is to make available to you a power that can meet every need. That really spoke to me.
Perfect, Carolyn. Perfect.
Thank you.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Science of Mind magazine.
Yeah. Is that the
Delicious.
new one? Was that the new one or is that?
Yeah, that's the old one. That's
October?
yeah, this was the October.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't looked at our new one today.
Yeah, I did today.
November the 1st, All Saints Day.
Yes, All Saints Day. Yes.
But that I think that is the key, is to realize that God is so powerful and we don't believe it. We don't believe how powerful he really is. To make this earth, to make us, we just don't believe it. And I think if we did, it would change us completely.
But aren't we God?
We are, but we don't even believe that.
No, Tom, you're not.
What, Bob?
I said, Tom's not. That's
Oh.
why we're all here, to save Tom.
Okay.
I've always liked the Buddhist saying, I think it's pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
It's optional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't need to hold on to anything.
Well, I think that's what she was saying in acceptance,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think she said it all.
Yeah, she did. She
Another.
did.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful thing, really.
Yeah.
I think it was perfect for this week coming up. we need to get spiritually soaked, you know.
Right.
So
Spiritual rain.
she's in Colorado, right?
Oregon. Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. Okay.
Oregon.
Mhm.
All right. The fires up in Oregon. Yeah.
Coming out. And I really enjoyed Ernest Holmes. I mean, he wrote that in 1950.
Wow, that was wonderful.
And it is just so perfect for like everything, you know. He said God is always on the right side and faith will always conquer fear.
Right.
I mean, it's just so appropriate for everything. And that was in 1950.
So we have to put out what we want. Just like after this election, they're putting so much fear into people that it's going to be just chaos.
Yeah.
You know, if Trump doesn't win, or if he gets mad about something that he lost. I mean, and we've got to put it out there that he's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be chaos, you know?
You know something that I've noticed is that the more people rail against him, the more he lashes out. The more people fighting, the more he fights.
Well, I think that's true of all of us.
Yeah, we all have that tendency.
Right.
Yeah.
To fight. So if we send him peace and knowing that he can go to another job, he doesn't have to have this job. He can go to another job that he loves, and that's building hotels.
Right.
You know, and we're giving him a chance to do something different.
Starting a new media company.
Right.
But that's not what the media focuses on. The media focuses on fear because that's what makes money.
Right, exactly. We just got to counteract that.
We got a lot of National Enquirer papers out there.
Yeah.
Well, Oh, that was a
Everybody's
friend of
comfortable.
Trump's.
When you know what's coming next, there's a comfort to it. When you don't know what's coming next, you can choose fear, which is like a statement. This is the way things are going to happen, and that's a closed-minded thing. Or you can choose faith, which is like a question, and questions open your mind.
Right, exactly, exactly. There's a lot of different paths, you can go down, and you're the one who picks it.
You don't necessarily, you don't have to define what happens next. You can be open to the highest and the best.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the question.
The question.
Right. What's the best job for Trump? That's the
He's
question.
in it.
Chain gang?
That's in it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
breaking rocks in prison.
Oh,
What? No, I heard that.
Nita, all right.
Well, I think,
God
I really,
informed, Nina, God informed. He is God informed.
he is, but I
I
think
under-
one of the things going on in the political arena is his fear of what will happen if he's not president,
Mhm.
what he'll have to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, I think if he's defeated overwhelmingly, people will think, well, what am I doing rallying? You know, maybe they'll think twice. Well, there's not that many people with me, you know,
I'm
on
wondering
the other side.
what would happen if Trump loses and Biden pardons him for things.
Oh.
You know what?
Would that be appropriate? Would that be appropriate?
Why not?
Hmm.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't it be?
What is it,
There's a lot
Tom?
of people that I think would
Because he's got so many other things that people are coming after him for. This will be minor.
well, yeah.
What?
You know, I mean, Ford pardoned Nixon.
Yeah.
People didn't
Well,
like
but-
that, but it helped the country, I think, to heal and to keep going. You know, and that's what
Yeah.
That's my point. I'm wondering, if that would help, if it would help.
well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what
Or is that living in denial of the
They
Yeah.
pardoned Nixon, but then when years later he wanted to run for president again, they said no.
Well, Trump did say if he lost, he would try again in 4 years.
Well, we just
Well,
have to be
he says
vigilant.
he says a whole lot of things.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But we just have to know the country's going to come together. That's the biggest thing. you know.
Yes, and everybody vote. I hope everybody has voted by now.
And everybody lives with what comes out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the destruction. The next step is transforming and creation, and that's
Right, exactly. We've got so much to do. I mean, it's wonderful, really, when you think about it, how much we have to do, of the environment, of racial inequality, systematic racism. I mean, there's so much to do that can make this world so much better.
But that's what you just said before you listed all those things. You said it's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's I think that's key, to look on the fact that you can.
Yes, you were doing it.
In a way.
Yeah, you were doing a treatment when you said that's wonderful. You put it in consciousness and real consciousness right then.
That's the creation and transformation.
Right,
Doing it that way.
And we can do it. We can do this.
Yeah.
Fear would be to say it's just going to get worse. Fear would be to say it's just going to get worse and it's nothing's going to get better. That's fear. It's a statement that this is the way things are going to be. Saying it's wonderful is opening up to the possibility and question of what
can be. What can be? Yes.
And
that's why we're here.
It's the same as looking at the coronavirus. What are the gifts from that? There've
been a lot of them, really, a lot of them. I mean, my business has expanded because people aren't going out of the country. They're coming into they're staying in the country and just meeting each other at different places. Their families are. I've got people coming for Thanksgiving. They're meeting their family here and having Thanksgiving here. I mean, there's just been so much that we didn't realize if we just was still for a little while,
just seeing the skylines of San Francisco and Hong Kong and these places when
Yeah.
things
Right, the
stop.
smog went, right, exactly.
So,
That's,
you know,
Yeah.
nature has been enjoying this.
yes.
I understand the animals in the zoos were enjoying not having people looking at them all the time. Some animals that they were always hoping they would mate, they finally mated during this time.
And some quiet and peace.
Yeah, that's what they
I can't
needed.
imagine you being observed all the time in a glass behind a glass. It's got to be frustrating.
How do you
Yeah.
know? How do you know we're not?
Yeah, it's all a big experiment here.
I did read an article the other day that says there is a 50-50 chance that we are living in an animation.
There's a far side where people are in like an aquarium and there's a like big huge alien like feeding like dropping like food into it.
We don't know what's out there, and there's plenty, I'm sure, that we don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But we can't be afraid of it either.
Well, I'm glad you liked this minister. I thought she was really excellent. Kimberly Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
You picked a lot of good ones, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want anything to say? Do we have anybody new on that's never been here before?
Oh, I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed everything this morning.
Oh, good.
And the comments about flying always touched my heart because I was married, but I often use this expression that I grew up around a lot of pilots.
Yeah.
Well, my husband, one of the things my husband did in the military for a long time was brief pilots before they would fly.
Oh.
These were military pilots, and he would brief them as to what kind of weather they were going to run into, and all this and that, the other thing.
What?
And the first time when we were in the Philippines, he briefed a pilot, and he didn't come back. And he didn't come back. And my husband was devastated. But then they found the plane someplace where it was not supposed to be. And his CEO said, Bob, he does this sometimes. He doesn't, he'll fly a flight plan, but he doesn't follow it. And therefore we've heard that expression about old pilots and old pilots. Yeah, I've heard all these expressions. And it's just, he takes it, this person takes a chance, and he takes a lot of other people with him. Somehow a lot of the stories about my youth when I was married and when we lived different places. So a lot of them had to do with flying. Although my husband himself didn't fly, and he never learned to fly.
Interesting.
But and I guess maybe there's a message in that today about something about. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, thank you. Yeah, and then what happens after my husband is gone and I moved to Charlottesville, I start dating a pilot. John was a great pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It must have been very exciting to fly with John. That's all I got to say. I never had that opportunity, but he had some pretty good stories.
Well, I guess next Sunday we'll know what's going to happen. A little bit.
Oh, it's going to be the highest and the best.
Right, exactly.
Don't turn on your television until the end of the week.
No matter what it looks like, Tom, no matter what it looks like, it's going to be the highest and the best.
Highest and the best.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, let's hope we know for sure by next week.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
I think Pennsylvania's already up in debating how to do their count.
Yeah. And we have a message coming in from Lynn, and she's asking us to pray for her friend whose name is Susan, and she's having back surgery.
Say that again, Kathy?
Hold on.
Wait, you have to mute Betty. Yeah, Lynn Larkin just sent a chat, and she's asking us to pray for her friend. Her name is Susan, and she's having back surgery in the morning.
Okay.
So, anyone else need some prayers or have anybody they want us to keep in our thoughts?
All of us.
I always do. I always do. Always.
My dad, for his condition, blood clots, and my daughter's husband, they're finding out that he has a number of different problems instead of just the one rare thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, so are they doing anything for him, or did they decide?
I guess the doctors are trying to figure out whether they should do one surgery and do it all at once, or do a little bit of the surgery and let him heal and do another one.
And what's his first name? What?
Colton.
Colton.
Lton. And my dad's name is Gary, Gary.
Okay.
We'll hold them. It's nice to see you today, Kent.
Yeah, it is.
And Lynn, nice to have you with us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sure.
we had another person come on. I think she left.
And all the poll workers, she said, for their safety. Okay.
Yeah, Laura Carr. Is Laura, you still on? No.
I didn't see her on.
Yeah, she was on for a while. LAURYCARR.
Yeah, sorry. Then she wasn't all of a sudden.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I could use some prayers. I haven't been feeling very good all week.
Right. Okay. Well, we are going to know you are health and wholeness.
You are a spiritual being. There's no disease on spiritual beings.
That's right.
Remember that, Ann.
I'm a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness.
Right.
And the spiritual
Myrtle Fillmore.
Spiritual rain, Ann, is coming down and washing everything out of here.
Right.
Anything that's not.
And peace spread over the land.
Okay, so we have some news. We have bylaws. Did everybody get a copy of our bylaws?
Good to have everybody's on the mailing list.
Yeah.
I think so.
Check your email because we have to vote on these bylaws. And I know it's long and tiring to read them all, but it's kind of important because these are going to be our bylaws. It's not in stone, but that's what we're going by. So if you don't have them, we'll send them out to you again. But next week, we're going to vote on them. And if anybody has any comments or any changes, we'd love to hear from you.
And Kathy and Ann and Paul and I had 3 different sessions,
Long sessions.
like 3 or 4 hours each, going through all this and editing it. So everybody, come on.
Yeah, they'll take a lot less time to read it.
Do you think it?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yes, that was a lot of work. Do you think we should wait though and not have it next week but the week after? We would have a little bit more time.
Yeah, we need at least 2 weeks from now. We really, I mean, we don't have to vote on it before we, when we get the approval from the, what's it called? The
Phase 1.
When we start phase 2,
yeah,
which is predicated on the approval of the
leadership
committee.
Yeah.
So when we get the approval from the leadership committee, which should happen sometime in the next 2 weeks, at that point, we have 60 days to finalize the association. And at that point, that's when we need the bylaws to be officially in effect. So we have 2 months, but it's kind of like, why wait until the end of the 2 months? Let's
Get it over with.
let's rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with.
Yeah.
By this month anyway, by November.
And we also have a very good opportunity for a secretary, and we need that secretary's name to go on these documents. So maybe we could divide it up and have 2 secretaries, or a secretary and assistant, so it's not overwhelming. It's just they have to take minutes. If somebody's good at that, I really would appreciate that. So think about that. Stepping up. And my other thought that I wanted to run by everybody, I'm thinking of doing a Science of Mind 101. It's Barbara Waterhouse from Asheville teaches this online, and it's about an hour and a half each class, and it takes about 6 weeks to do Science of Mind 101, and I'd like to have a class get started for us, but it would be separate from the Sunday. So Paul said he would Zoom it for us. So if anybody was interested in it, it's a basic course.
I'm in.
Oh, good. So we're thinking of like on a Thursday is a good day for Paul and anybody else on a Thursday. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And what time would you like to do this? Paul, it's up to you because you're going to run it.
And any time is what?
How about around 7 or 7:30?
How long are the classes? They're about an hour?
They're about an hour and 20 minutes, but we could probably cut it down to an hour and 15 minutes, And Kent, is that okay? What time do you get home from work? Like 7?
What time are you available after? I think it hinges on you. You're the working person.
Thursday is the one day where I don't have anything going on, so it'd be cool, like around 7. I'd be just getting.
So 7 to 8:30 is a good time.
And my other question, would you like to start that as soon as possible?
January?
Well, everybody's home. This is my question. I just wanted to, I know the holidays are coming up. Did you want to wait till January or you want to start it now?
Being on Thursday, we will not do it on Thanksgiving or
Right.
Christmas. So
Christmas is Thursday too?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Is Christmas on? Is that what she just asked?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be because always it's on the same day because November has 30 days. It ends up on the same day.
Christmas Day is on Friday. Christmas Eve is Thursday.
Christmas is on Friday.
Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's only that's February.
Well, did you want to wait until January? We could wait until January.
Well, I mean, we could start now and just agree that we're going to have to miss those 2. We wouldn't be missing them per se. We just would be making it, we would be skipping that week to do our study because of the fact that it's pre-recorded.
Right.
We could, skip a week and resume without actually missing a meeting.
And then give people a little bit of time to catch up on any homework if there is any.
Yeah, well, there is homework and everybody needs to have the book, The Science of My Book. And there's a workbook that's free. That's why I like Asheville CSL because everything is online, everything is free. So you could download the workbook.
How contingent is the previous lesson on the current one? I mean, if there's a big gap in time, is it going to disrupt the continuity?
Of what? I mean, going from 101 to 102?
Yeah,
the first class, how much is the second class dependent on the first class? So if there's an extended period of time, will that disrupt the flow?
What he's asking is if we miss a week, does that put us at a disadvantage?
If you personally miss a week,
you could, no. If you miss a week, no. Because, I mean, if you personally miss a week, you're saying, or all of us, if we miss
No, I mean, like if we have to do a homework assignment and once we get that part of the homework assignment done, we need to like go to class to carry on with that assignment, with that, investigation or whatever it is.
Right.
knowledge, would that gap in time, have some sort of adverse effect? And that would seem to be the salient bit of information that would determine whether we should wait till January or continue now.
Because if we start now, then we would have 2 weeks where we would be 2 weeks between lessons instead of 1
So
week
you're saying
between.
you're going to forget everything that happened that previous 2 weeks before.
Yeah, we'll sleep
Not
sometime
necessarily,
in the
not
2 weeks.
necessarily forget, but how
Yeah, I don't think so.
the lesson depends on the previous one and
Yeah.
the continuity of time frame.
Well, who grades this? I mean, if we're not in there with her, who
No.
grades this, or how do we answer the questions, or what do we talk to her at all, or what?
No, you can't, you don't talk to her at all. But
Recorded.
we can have a discussion after it. With it,
We do, not her with it.
right.
Yeah.
If we start now, we're done before Christmas, aren't we?
What is it, 6 weeks?
How many weeks?
I gotta see when it, I don't know how long it is.
But we've got to get our book.
Yeah, you gotta get the book. Well,
No, I think
you have the regular Science of Mind book, but you have to download the thing. So, do you want to wait until next Thursday and start it next Thursday? And Kent, it's basic science of mind. It's giving you a foundation. So it's not something that's going to be new, to you or to all of us, really. It's concepts, but it's giving you a good basic foundation that you can build on, which I think is important. And if anybody is thinking of becoming a practitioner, this is one of the basic courses that you need. And my question I'm going to ask Science of Mind is if you want to get credit for this, is this going to be acceptable? We have to have attendance. You cannot miss more than 2 classes if you're going for credits for this. And there is a fee to headquarters. When you finish it, you get a certificate. And so is anybody interested in becoming a practitioner or?
Yeah, I'd like to at least be going down that path.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's what I'm saying, that when I started, I just took everything for credit. I didn't know if I wanted to, but it worked out good because you need it. So I'm going to ask, I'm not sure if they're going to do it because we're not in person, but I'm hoping that they will.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
gonna
and
work on
I
that.
think between using the material that Asheville has online
Uh-huh.
and you being a licensed practitioner who is licensed to teach this stuff,
Right.
that we should be able to I think the credit part of it is relative to taking attendance and making sure that people aren't skipping out of it and so forth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your presence and the taking attendance, I would think, would make it count.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we don't know. Yeah, we should check with
I'm going to check
headquarters
it
on
out.
that.
I'll
But
find out everything. And how about everybody try to get the book, and we won't do it this week. We'll start next week.
I think there are good arguments for waiting until the first of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have 4 people here that are going to do it now, starting next week. You got so many people that aren't even with us online here now.
Yeah.
And people do need to get the book. Sometimes people might want to have an actual book in hand rather than just downloading it and so forth. And it's an opportunity to advertise and get
That's
more
one thing we need to
coming.
Okay.
To really push it on the.
I know a lot of
on the
people wanted
meetup.
when I was teaching, they wanted to take the class, the practitioner class.
Okay.
And it just never worked out that we could do it. I took it from a woman in California, but she was there on the class, and I had to, send things in, and we had to talk, and we had a project to do, and for this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm going to ask.
Put an ad in Echo.
Say that again.
put
You
it
could
in
put
the
an
Echo.
ad in Echo.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is we need to
Oh,
and build some anticipation. Like Jamie was saying, we make it more than just 4 people.
okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think we've fallen short on, is, and we're not starting advertising things soon enough for people to come into their focus and then decide to do it, and creating the anticipation. If we could use this as a sort of a test thing of like, let's try and create some anticipation, and like, it's coming in meet up, and sending out emails like, don't forget to sign up, and this is
Okay.
we'll learn, and creating an air of excitement about it.
Yeah, and I'll touch base with Reverend Faith because she's our support for the area. And I'm gonna see if she has suggestions too before I call Asheville. Okay,
Okay.
anything
Okay,
else? Anything
thank
else?
you all.
Oh, wait, don't hang up. We're not going, we're
We're
not
not
finished.
done yet.
Okay.
We have we're going back, we're just starting with the donations, yeah. So we're gonna do what everybody else does and have a passing the basket, kind of. And we have an offering prayer. So what I know is God is the source of all supply, and money is God in action. And as we give, we set spiritual law in motion. And right here, we are clear. We give out of our fullness, we give out of our abundance, we give out of our overflowing blessings. And we give to our Center for Spiritual Living group, knowing we touch the minds and hearts of all that come, and our group expands in number and consciousness, and our lives just keep getting better and better. And we live from the state of gratitude, and so it is. And again, PayPal or send checks to me. And we're going to go back to Reverend Hawkins for a 2-minute thing, but it's worth it. It's really good.
So let's just take a moment, if you will, to bless and give thanks for the beautiful, powerful, courageous life of a diminutive woman, barely 5 foot something tall, barely over 5 foot tall, named Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who through her courage, her intelligence, her amazing dedication, fought and continued to fight, even through cancer, for compassion, for justice, for freedom, and who has inspired so many of us. May her legacy live on and inspire and work through each one of us. Blessings to Ruth and her family, and to our entire government this day and this week as we grieve her passing, but celebrate the gifts she leaves behind. And I'm going to leave you with a small excerpt from Ernest Holmes' prayer for our country, which I think, again, is very pertinent for right now. The all-knowing mind contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed by this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem. Each is impelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. Blessings, my friends. Blessings and goodbye.
And we have our song, Blessed Always.
So let's just take a moment,
Maybe.
if you will.
Okay.
It's not advancing when I click on it.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Well, I will do this a cappella a couple of times.
All right.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, For the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. That we rest in God and say amen.
Thank you, Jane. And I know we heard what we need to hear today, and we processed what we needed to process. And we go about our week mindful of the gift of God's spiritual rain, soaking over our souls, filling us up with this God-centered life of good. We give ourselves permission this week to sit with our every emotion. We feel it, we process it, and we live from this truth of who we are, amazing God Spirit. Knowing our strength, we can turn away from conditions, first accepting, allowing what is, and moving into stillness, power, and guidance. Changing our lives into what we want to see. And this week, let's go and let's let go of multitasking, and appreciate the time in the present moment. And we awaken to this present moment and be open and receptive to our guidance and good. And as we process through this election week, let us be aware of our thinking and let go of judgments of candidates and platforms and the illusion of separation. And remembering the words of Ernest Holmes from 1950, God is always on the side of right, and faith will always conquer fear. So enjoy your week, stay safe and healthy, and we are keeping Anne and Colton and Gary and Susan in our thoughts and in our prayers. And you are loved and you are appreciated. And thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
Everybody have a good week.